to record the coaching behaviors of a coach in an actual field training session. This first slide shows a form that's divided into 4 categories. Starting with the upper left category, on this portion of the form we're going to chart and record all of the interactions of a coach, whether they be verbal, nonverbal, etc. The second category is in regard to content. So we're getting a measure of the coach's knowledge and how they apply the principles of play in the training session. On the lower left, you see the third category. It's labeled interventions. Specifically, this is a measure and a recording of how frequently the coach stops or intervenes to coach or teach. And finally, we're going to measure the overall effectiveness of the coach by measuring the behavior of the participants themselves. This slide is simply an enlargement of the first category on the previous form. Once again, this category is measuring the coach's behaviors. It's very important to label all verbal interactions and whether they're positive or corrective or whether they're negative. This can be done with a simple symbol like a plus or a minus sign. We also want to record nonverbal interactions since they can be equally as effective as verbal. These might include thumbs up, gestures, or movements, opening up your arms to demonstrate width, etc. We use this form in the 16 cells that are shown to record the type and frequency of verbal interactions. So by recording the interactions in sequence, we can look for repetitive patterns or areas of emphasis by the coach. And finally, whenever possible, record the actual words that the coach uses for verbal feedback. The next category is principles of play. And under principles of play, we're really trying to connect actions of the players. So technique is certainly a measurable action with concepts such as principles of play or tactical decisions. So this is the type of information that we want to record on this form, and this is why the area is much larger. We also want to check and record when the coach identifies a game moment and the principles of play that they associate with that game moment, whether it be attacking things such as width or depth, or defending things such as compactness or pressure. We want to note where and when the coach uses the concepts. The terms are not as important as the actual principles themselves. Third category is labeled interventions, and in this category, we'd like to have a measure of the disruptive level or the intervention level of the coach. At the low end, the coach is able to intervene, possibly stop a single player, and still maintain flow to the activity. At the far extreme end, that we'll designate as a 5, the coach actually stops a dynamic activity and steps in to teach or make adjustments. There's no qualification here as to which one is better. It has to fit the moment. Certainly by recording each of these, we can give the coach feedback on how to improve their interventions and make them more effective. Second would be to categorize the method that the coach utilizes during the intervention. Are they guiding play by asking questions that lead the player towards a solution? Are they simply providing information, or are they directing play, asking players specifically, telling players specifically and commanding where they want them to move or the decisions they want them to make? Another key component here is the duration of this intervention. So by watching the video or paying attention to your watch as you record live, you should mark the beginning and the end of each segment so that we know the duration of the stoppage, how long the intervention actually took. And finally, the last category that we would like to measure is overall effectiveness. Once again, we'll equate this to the player's response, the player's actions, and their actual performance. So in the middle sticky note, you can see player performance is one way to measure effectiveness. Are the players making progress towards a target or an objective? We aren't necessarily looking for mastery here. That's a bit much to expect in a single observation. But are the players grasping enough of the concept that they're attempting it, um, and that they're making progress towards positive execution? Skipping back to the top, we also want to measure effectiveness by the player's verbal response. Are they asking questions that demonstrate that they understand maybe the fundamentals of what's going on, but they want further clarification? Or maybe they want to be challenged at a higher level? Or are their verbal responses uh, associated with confusion or lack of understanding? And finally, the player physical cues, the bottom sticky note, their effort, their body language. Are they facing and making eye contact? Are they engaged with the coach? This is important. This is an important measurement of the coach's effectiveness. Finally, does the coach check for understanding? And when they check for understanding, the answer or the response by the player is a sure indicator of whether or not the coach is being effective. So, do they go beyond recall level questions, ask a player to demonstrate or move to a better position? And that certainly gives us a measure then of the coach's effectiveness in teaching. And the last slide is simply a depiction of an actual set of 4 categories filled out. These were actually collected in a recent B course, so they're actual data based on instructors' sessions. So you can see the quantity of information that's possible and that's expected to be placed on each card. Thank you for your attention. I wish you the best in your practical assignment regarding this form. Thank you.